Okay, so no evidence for instant fossilization?
That was crazy when we learned about that. I remember we were in a Discord chat and Nathan was there and we're like trying to figure out how any of that could happen. We're like, instant petrification? What is this? And this is probably like 2019, maybe, just learning that that is a scientific term that explains a lot of stuff, but they just don't ever teach you about it. So it is accepted and it's in mainstream science, instant petrification, but they're not saying that it happens often, or I don't know. Because that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think happened that like caused the petrification? Do you have theories on that?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because Brittany was in a live stream with Nathan and Andreas. This is years ago, and you guys were talking about volcanoes, and because basically initially, like the thing is, you know, what was that called? AI GPT, whatever it is, GPT. You know, it was basically giving the paramineralization explanation, which is the mainstream, you know, explanation for petrification, but just saying that it could happen more quickly. And that's kind of basically mud fossil theory. That's like Roger Spur, you know, and also Alan from Mud Flood Was Armageddon. You know, they're talking about this idea that things are getting encased in mud, and then there's a exchange of the gases and the fluids that are in the tissues with the minerals that are outside of the tissues. So basically that's working its way in, and that's how soft tissue can petrify in a much quicker period of time. And so that was initially my thought with what I was finding, but then I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, because if that's the case, I should be finding the hearts with parts of the body, you know, different body parts, that kind of thing. And so I started to ponder it, because I was finding the stones in such large quantities, and this pattern was so repetitious. And so I realized that the only way that could be is if the body is being destroyed and somehow the organs are petrifying. So I was already toying with what I was calling boiled egg theory, which is the idea that the chest and the abdominal cavities where the organs are, each individual organ is contained in a fascial sac. And the sac that surrounds the heart is the thickest of those fascia sacs. So fascia is the white, you know, the gristle on the meat, right? If you look at a muscle, for example, it's surrounded in fascia. But if you do a cross section of the muscle, you're going to have all of these different layers of fascia as it goes into smaller and smaller. So fascia is in every single tissue of the body, inside, outside, and all throughout, and it goes from our head to our toe, and it's everywhere. So the fascia is surrounding the heart, and it's the thickest fascia of the body. So I was thinking that, wow, that's kind of like an eggshell. And what if maybe the chest and abdominal cavities, which are fluid, right, and the organs are anchored into the body and are floating in that fluid, what if that's kind of functioning like a pressure cooker, and the organ is hardening as it's cooking, like a hard-boiled egg? Because you break an egg open when it's raw and it's fluid. You put it in boiling water for 8 minutes and it's a hard-boiled egg. Well, you know, that was the theory I was toying with. And then you guys in that video started talking about pyroclastic flows, and you know that the ejections from these volcanoes can move at the speed of sound. They can be so powerful, and the heat can be as it's been registered as high as 1500 degrees Celsius. So that's a lot of heat and a lot of speed and wind. And if you've ever been in a sauna and blown on your arm, you can practically burn yourself with your own breath, because of for some reason, I don't know how it works, but the flow of the air is actually increasing the heat. So if you got 1500 degrees Celsius and air movement, there's your destruction of the outer portion of the body, right? And so that was my theory, is that as the body is being destroyed from the outside, the organs are in their own protective sacs. They're floating in water. That water is going to heat and boil, but it's also going to be pressurized because it's an enclosure, right? And then you have the pleura, which surrounds all of the organs, and the pleura is this thick, fatty sac. So that's it's like an encasement within a bigger encasement. So as the outer portions of the body are being destroyed, I believe the organs are being hardened, at least to the point where they're preserved, and then maybe paramineralization finishes off the process, and that would explain why I'm finding them everything from bone white all the way to blood red. It's this, you know, they're even in black. So I think that might have to do with blue-blooded creatures. You know, like reptiles have a different color blood than we do, right? So the iron, that's a whole other thing. Pull up
and not just hearts, Mike. He was talking about like brain, liver, kidney. You're not going to go into this whole parable, whatever. But yeah.
I've stuck with the hearts, because if I show a kidney, like a kidney-shaped stone, and I say this was once a kidney, you know, okay, nutcase, you know.
But you're finding that it makes sense that other organs.
I made a little video, and in fact, on the thumbnail of the video, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 videos ago on my channel, and it's what about the other organs?